Hello out there. Happy Mother's Day. It's actually no longer Mother's Day here in America, but I just wanted to say it anyway. Day before this was recorded. My name is Dominic.
I
I'm a New
worked a
Yorker and
13-hour
Australian
kitchen
here.
shift today.
Yeah, it was Mother's Day here too. Don't worry.
I fed all the mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Trix is cooking. Ritz is cooking in a different way. By cooking, I mean going to gigs.
Yeah, well, more on about that after the introduction.
And we got
I will
a lot of
be-
stuff. Was that Trix?
I was just gonna say I will be very delirious this episode. Yeah,
It happens.
I closed last night and we had a crazy incident happen. I don't want to get too much into detail about it. And then I had to open today, and I worked 13 hours on Mother's Day.
And
So
by not wanting to get into detail about it, I mean, like, straight afterwards, Trix, she announced that she was running for Congress. That's how crazy it got.
yeah, Trix 2024. Vote for me in the what fucking county do I live in?
Trix will make sure that nothing gets done in government, so it will just be like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, except I will do it with a joint hanging from my mouth at all times.
Trix is the new George Santos. But fun. Anyway.
Is this
God,
a music
could we
podcast?
imagine if I got like political power?
It'd be great. It'd be a wonderful plot twist for the podcast.
The fucking the iceberg of dissonant waves. It starts off with shitty lo-fi recordings and going into fucking controlling the United States.
That's when we transition from the iceberg meme to the domino meme.
Yeah.
The iceberg itself is one of the dominoes. Anyway, we got some albums and things. It's been a couple weeks since we've had a full regular episode, so we've been sitting on listening to these for a little bit here. From Radiohead,
Yes, we have.
I have picked In Rainbows. Rainbows Disc 2. Muse, we got Live at Rome Olympic Stadium, the last of their live albums. Trix chose, once again, Wake Up Everybody, Wake Up Ritz, it's Shakey Graves time, Live at the
Yeah,
Fox.
I know.
And
In my defense, it was my birthday.
Yeah, it was your birthday pick. And Ritz, you chose Dr. Shore's Unusual Practice, Total Reality, and Sonic Citadel by Lightning Bolt. But wait, that's not all. We also, in the lead up to our interview with Dan Macy, got some unreleased Dan Macy primo material that we're going to talk about for a little bit here as well.
Yes, but before all of that, I need to give the weekly update on how my 100 gigs challenge is going.
And we've
the answer is
a little bit here, so plenty of gigs.
Yeah. The reason it's been a bit is because I actually couldn't do an episode a couple of weeks ago, so you two decided to get Corey on and talk about Green Day for what I believe. In fact, it's probably been so long that episode's probably released by now.
Next.
Maybe not. Maybe next week. Yeah, next. Anyway. Yeah, so the big thing that happened was Your Arms of My Cocoon. They announced probably like, I think early March. I think I was actually in Brisbane when they announced it, funnily enough. That they're all coming over to Asia and Oceania to play shows. Bringing along Blind Equation as well, so first taste of Cybergrind in a live setting for me as well. And originally I was just going to do the Sydney show because like traveling to Brisbane costs money. And I'm happy to pay some money, obviously, for transport and stuff like that. But when you're paying approximately $130 Australian a night for some accommodation, unless you want to go sit in a backpackers, which I didn't really want to, it's pretty fucking costly. But my friend said, "Hey, no, I got an air mattress you can crash on." Shout out Darren. That helped financially so much. And I said, "Fuck it." I went up to Brisbane and I saw him twice. And in continuation of the fuck it, despite catching a 6 a.m. flight that morning, I also saw Sleep Makes Waves in the middle of all that. So that was 3 hours of sleep heading into Brisbane, and then I didn't sleep in Brisbane. We went down to the Gold Coast, to the world's largest time zone. because I had to introduce my friend to the tradition of plushies at gig, and he did actually win a plushie. I tried to win another plushie, but I didn't. So Sarsaparilla came. It came to both the Sydney and the Brisbane show. More about that in a second. My friend won a plushie holding a pizza, which I was actually trying to win, and he won it instead. So I said to him, "Well, that's yours. You've got to bring it to the gig." And he did. And there's exactly one photo in which you can see it. My friend is not visible in that photo, but the plushie is, and it's right next to me, and it's fucking funny.
Hell yeah!
But yes, the big thing I've talked about my tradition of plushies at gigs before. It's just a fun little thing I do, and Sarsaparilla probably had like the most exposure out of any plushie that I've done. like at Betty Ray's, I had a while back. That one's called Failing the Litmus Test because way too many people asked if I was going to fuck it, as Trix dies on stream.
Sorry.
Nah, it's all good. Yogurt, this little small one at New Bloom Fest. That one had a bit of going around in appreciation from the audience as well. I forget the dragon's name because I forget whatever that girl called it, but she called it something. Some How to Train Your Dragon reference. Can never remember it because I never watched
Toothless?
that movie. No, it started with an A. You probably know it.
Astrid?
Yeah, I think it's that.
I read the books as a kid.
Yeah, I didn't read them. Yeah, and Sarsaparilla not only got a bit of the people asking in the crowd about it, but more importantly, during Blind Equation, which was the first one, I kind of just left it on the stage, just not didn't throw it on there. I was right next to the front, so I just put it down next to the speakers. It wasn't in the way of any of the artists or anything like that. Would never impede. James from Blind Equation noticed it at the very end. I think he noticed it throughout the gig. Obviously, it was a very fucking small stage and stuff like that. A big plushie on there you're going to notice. But at the very end of a Blind Equation set, it was a great photo. For 2 seconds, he held up the plushie while screaming his lungs off. It's really fucking funny to see like a hardcore show or like cybergrind, I guess in this case, and everybody's cheering on a plushie that's just being raised like it's the fucking Lion King.
Hell yeah.
But then I asked fucking bad at words right now, Tyler from Your Arms to My Cocoon. I said, hey, can somehow Sarsaparilla, it's its last ever gig, or at least it's the last ever gig I'm going to take it to. Can it come on stage just anywhere? I don't give a fuck. And Tyler said, just leave it with me. Stuck it between the speaker and the wall. And it was great. And you saw all these people with cameras and stuff, because there was so many people taking photos at that show. They would come up and do the high quality photos. And that's part one of the story of how I've become, or of my biggest contribution to Australian music. Because the next part of this story is I need to rehome the plushie. And I actually did offer it to both Blind Equation and Your Arms to My Cocoon. They both said no, which is fair. I 100% appreciate when no is said in this situation, because I prefer it to a yes and then just throwing it to the side. Like, if they were being honest, they said they couldn't take it home, they don't have the space, they don't have that. I'm like, that's fine. Offer's there if you ever want to give a hug, but I'll look around differently. At the very end, though, I did need to get rid of it. That's the kind of whole thing. I made a deal with my partner that I was not going to take more plushies home or keep them here, because I only take them to piss her off anyway. That's the only reason I can win them. But I needed to rehome it. So I just said out loudly at the bar and said, hey, does anybody want a plushie? I saw the singer from Blind Girls there. My words were, I've listened to your music. I think you need a hug. She took the plushie. So it lives with the Blind Girls singer now. So
hell yeah.
I thought that would be the end of it. But then Blind Girls announced the album a couple weeks ago. And in their announcement post, they have Sarsaparilla.
That's awesome.
So that's my biggest contribution to Australian music now.
Will it be in the album art?
I'll be taking my check in the mail. Oh, no, it's not in the album. The album art's already shown and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
Fuck knows if she even remembers that the name is Sarsaparilla. I don't really care. But Yeah, and that was the story of the plushie at the Your Arms gig. The openers, by the way, they were different for both gigs. At Sydney, we got Mausaturi and Doris opening. We've obviously covered both of them, so I'm pretty aware of their sounds. It's kind of crazy that we got, a kind of slowcore of Doris playing, and then just Mausaturi is the fucking sore thumb out when it comes to the genres here.
How many were on Mausaturi stage?
I think they had a total of 8 or 9, and that was because they were missing their trombonist.
Okay, that's respectable.
Of course, it's the tromboner.
Is there something funny about the word tromboner?
Well, my father played trombone, so I'm legally obligated to make fun of it.
It was the most cramped fucking stage I've seen. The Chipper Hotel is pretty fucking small, and I think they definitely could not move on stage if they wanted to. That's how fucking cramped it was. Compare that to Blind Equation, where James is like moving back and forth constantly because it's 3 members. It's a lot easier to do that. And at the Brisbane show, Hanoi Traffic opened it up. At their last song, Annika from Nike Soul joined up and did the vocals. I actually should have mentioned with Doris as well when they did their last song. Don't know his name, but I think it's the drummer from Freezer. Went on and did guitars whilst Zeke from Doris decided to just stage dive.
Nice.
Great ending. Yeah, so Hanoi Traffic was the opener, and then I was told by my friends who live in Brisbane to get prepared for Super Deaf, who I believe is one of the guitarists from Blind Girls. It's like their side project. And I sent you a video of this one, Dominic, and I think your only reaction was, holy shit.
Yeah, that was a lot of drumming. That was loud.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the fucking drumming. It was what this guy's decision was to do for this side project, and it's fucking awesome. He just takes his shirt off, puts a dog mask on, and it's like Machine Girl type music. It's very industrial pop emo. It's
intense energy.
Yeah,
it just radiates intensity.
Yeah, so a name like Super Deaf kind of makes sense. Funnily enough, Blind Equation were next. They, even though they were the co-headline theoretically, they weren't the co-headline with this one because they were moved down, I guess, in the list. Because there's one band that's quite popular from Australia in the scram scene kind of globally. And to be fair, when they are playing, it's kind of hard to ever say they should be anywhere less than where they are in the order, because I've seen them like 4 times now. They're probably the most tightest, like just production or just musically, Scram's band is there. I don't think I've ever seen them miss a fucking beat, and that's Blind Girls.
Yeah, I mean they've been around for a while, so it makes sense that they're the ones that are like the tightest.
And I'm not so big into them studio wise, but listening to them live is just a different experience because they're fucking talented. And then last but not least is obviously Your Arms and My Cocoon. Their saxophonist was actually sick that day, so the guitarist from Blind Equation stepped in. Wow. And we had Your Arms with a guitar this time. There was no violin. We didn't get the violin this time, so a bit disappointed, but what can you do?
Hey,
that being said,
we did.
That being said, Metamorphosis was probably like at that night, that was probably the best song live this year so far.
Really? Over everything else?
Yeah, that was just. Yeah, it was pretty fucking intense.
That's sweet.
That's awesome. I love that band has gotten to be that bombastic from just that EP.
And obviously it didn't end with those. We got if you've ever seen their set live on YouTube right now with the whole, because I believe when YouTube saw them, it was just Tyler, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tyler just coming on for Home Is Where and Last Beach.
And this is now like a full band setup. It's a saxophonist, the guitars, and the drummer. They end with the Cure's "Boys Don't Cry" cover.
Hmm. I mean, in this case, like
Hmm.
Tyler was not announced to be at the show at all. I think he was just there.
Yeah.
In your case, that's like dedicated. Like, yeah, this is the Arms Like a Cocoon toy. Let's fucking
Yeah.
go.
That was just one weekend, and that's probably covered like 20 minutes right now. For those who are interested, I recommend looking up all the pictures on. It's Jackson. I can't. No, they keep changing their Instagram handle, but they did quite a lot of the photos that have gone around. I think they're pretty. I don't know enough about the Brisbane Scram scenes, but I assume just the amount of photos I've seen on their Instagram that they probably do this quite constantly. 64 Pit as well on Instagram. They have quite a lot of photos of those gigs. I recommend checking them out. Mostly because if you also look at them, you will see at the sarsaparilla pictures. They're fantastic, and that is 3 out of 10 of the gigs since
Wow.
since we've been there. But the rest of this will actually like speed through because it's probably not as quite monumental. The second I got back into Sydney, though, my brother said, "Hey, you're going to see." Sorry, somebody's messaged me as I got distracted. Yeah, my brother said, "Hey, you're seeing Dandy Warhols tonight." So I saw the Dandy Warhols when I got back into Sydney. Then I believe it was on the Friday. I can't remember. What was it? The Saturday. It was the Saturday. Pressgate View was playing at Bootleggers. I didn't really know too much about Pressgate View, but they've now followed me because I posted the up to the 50 gig, and now they follow me. So good on them. Thank you, Pressgate View. It was actually Holy Forest. Fucking bad at talking today. That I was there to see because a friend's boyfriend plays drums in that band, so I figured to give him the support. Then after that all ended, I went to see the free gig Death by Denim at Vic on the Park. I don't like saying bad things. There wasn't actually anything bad to say, but just really wasn't anything good. It was just like it happened. And then there was the trying to sell an extra ticket or give away an extra ticket because I bought 2 of them. I went to the Glass Animals pop-up show, which is probably going to be my most controversial gig of the year, seeing the amount of people who hate Glass Animals for some reason.
I have no opinion on them.
I do not either.
It was good. I mean, Glass Animals know how to interact with the crowd. They know exactly who's there to see them. They're pretty tight performance-wise as well. I wish they would play a lot of their earlier stuff, though, because a lot of their newer stuff is a bit mid in comparison, but that's just how it is. And then throwing it back to an artist that we haven't covered since 2020, I believe, or maybe it was 2021. I think it was 2020. Sorry, Ace Swayze and the Ghosts.
Yeah,
did a free show, and I'll tell you, compare it to Death by Denim, who played at the same venue. Ace Swayze was just miles ahead. That one was really fucking good. So it's not my favorite gig of the year or anything like that. Yeah, they are releasing new music. They were doing this little show and little tour in support of a single that they've just released. So yeah, we're getting new Ace Swayze, which is good. They actually got some new members, so that's probably going to explain some of their hiatus. But yeah, last 2 now, just to clean this one up quickly. Everything, and the Vaccines, the co-headline show. I mean, it's just a fun gig to be at. Everything, that vocalist is incredible. He has quite a large range. I can't say there's anything to stand out about the shows in particular, but it's one of those, if you like these fans, you would like the show. And then last night I was at the Beaches because I managed to get a ticket off Tixel, and I saw the Beaches so that when people talk about them in 5 years' time, I can go, actually, I was here when they did this small show and be a pretentious hit like fuck it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's the gig roundup, whatever I want to call it. I'm up to 53 so far.
Who's next?
It is currently the next one that I have planned, and it's not. I don't think it's going to be the next. There's a couple other ones that I might go to, but the next one I have tickets for is Luca Brasi, and that's just Spanish love songs opening.
Oh yeah, that's gonna fucking rip.
Yeah.
Bread Club is playing on Thursday though, so I might be tying my record of last year by seeing Bread Club again.
You saw 54 last year?
Yep, 54 last year.
We're not even in June and you're already getting there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the day after Liquid Brazzy as well was Explosions in the Sky in the Middle East.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not even to the best stuff yet, really.
I mean, there's been some good shit I've fucking seen this year. Who knows what the best is by the end of it, but
I'm personally most hyped for the Middle East and Spanish love songs of your list still.
I mean, that's the next two that I've said. There's Frieza playing with Doris. We're getting Yumi dancing and Salmon 50 opening for them as well, which should be good. Got throwing it back quite a while with the Getaway Plan. They're doing a show at Crowbar, basically saying, hey, it's been 10 years, but we are still alive if you guys want to see us. And it was like $30 or $40. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll see you. And the other big one to get hype about is Underscores.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still amazing that after all this time, Tyler Odom is the only person all three of us have seen, of everyone. If Trix ever sees Spanish love songs, that'll be the first full band that we've all seen.
Yeah.
Or if particularly ever comes to Australia.
And with how they've been doing, they might actually go to Australia. They're playing in Canada now.
They're doing a couple of Europe shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure Lorenzo has connections.
Yeah. And they announced the new album.
Belgium, France. They're doing a Canada show, I think.
Yeah, they today they announced they were in a festival with in Canada.
Yeah, and
I want to say Montreal because the poster is mostly.
It was Montreal.
Yeah, I think the Instagram story I saw said Montreal, and the new album's coming, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
shall we actually talk about the fucking albums now?
Yeah. 24 minutes in, let's get started. Well, let's talk about the Dan Macy stuff first.
Yeah, that's fair.
I did not listen to it, so I can't say shit.
It's all right. We interviewed Dan Macy. You didn't.
Yes.
But yes. You did?
I had
you
to
asked questions. We made sure we got your questions.
Yes.
Anyway, this was a little compilation Dan Macy sent us called Wish These Songs Were Done, and then in parentheses, none of these are mixed, but 00 is. And so, it's half kind of done songs, and then half kind of just ideas or little, like, scraps of things. Some of them are B-sides from Duality of Doomsday, some of them are new stuff, some of them are just little fun things. I think it was mentioned.
And there's stuff where he probably even sings a bit of fucking gibberish, unless Zaza is actually a fucking thing.
Zaza is slang for weed.
Oh, there you go. It goes to show how much of a loser I am. It more feels like, I mean, I guess it is like, obviously in that stuff, but when you're going stuff like Holy Zaza, I don't think you're really saying that because you're like, oh shit, I'm smoking all this weed and meaning for it. I think it's just kind of, at least it sounds like it's just singing for the sake of it.
I mean, the song is called Holy Zaza, the Jesus Christ Za.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be the fucking dankest pizza. But yeah, no, this is just
terrible.
Fun little things. There's some really interesting like directions that the project can go in. I think we talked a little bit about Phoebe can't build this bridge. There's a couple interesting moments where I think they're doing some really nice guitar tones, and obviously emo and adjacent things always do like bright, sparkly guitar tones, but there was some stuff here that made it feel almost folky and almost just like very breezy, and like you get the picture of like open meadows and all that stuff. I thought that was a really nice little thing.
There's a lot of different vibes that are going for in just these. This was just 19 minutes of music that was sent by. And it's not really going to get like a full review from us because it's not really a proper release or anything like that. It's a bunch of secret stuff that we've got. But it's still worth mentioning because obviously Dan sent it to us for this intention of us listening. That's what we've done.
Yeah.
I think this is really going to show, though, when ever the next project comes out. I think this is going to be like this whole, now we can look back to this and compare, and we have that insider information, which, admittedly, we can't really sell this insider information for much money. But we have it.
Tens of cents.
And I think we're probably the most interested to see if Probably Not Dropping actually turns into something.
I would like it to. I think Probably Not Dropping, as the name implies, should actually be the one that's dropping. Yeah, it's a cool little thing. The Hot Mulligan references are fun. including the song Hot Mulligan featuring Hot Mulligan from the band Hot Mulligan. But like some of these songs are, 2.5-minute tracks. Like some of these are kind of short 20-second little things, but some of these do have the work put into it. Even if it's not mixed, I do appreciate the attempt at sending us full things.
It's a bunch of concepts, but the concepts are like starting to be fleshed out here. So it's not like oh, would this be cool? It's like actually seeing if this would sound cool.
Yeah, and I will be curious to see if anything actually makes on to whatever is next.
And I would say the things that probably sound the least cool in this are the ones that are like, this is just a chorus idea, or digicore style demo, which is like, there's so little of it and so like nothing really done in it. It's kind of like hard to tell you that it's cool because there's like nothing there.
But I mean, I guess, in this age, you can just kind of make a chorus and just see if anything will stick to it. I think that's interesting, at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, you can just be like, I want to make a breakbeat song for 16 measures. Let's see if that does anything. Yeah, it sounds nice. Like, what was that one guy?
It's context for something that doesn't exist.
What was that one band that you picked that we listened to where it was just like a bunch of unfinished tracks? It was an electronic artist.
Flume?
Was it Flume? Yeah, it was Flume.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I know. I remember which one you're on about. That was the album art with it was like the Macintosh desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I pictured the album art before I pictured any of the songs.
Correct. I do.
It's because when I think of Flume, I think of the Hiatus as Flume, but I didn't think I picked up.
No, you haven't. But that album is kind of what I think of when I think of this. It's just like, here's some stuff I made. Here's some ideas I have. I don't know. In Flume's case, they didn't end up working until they did.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to be said for whatever comes out of this. I don't know. But thank you, Dan, for sending us the stuff.
I promise I will listen to it in a later date.
Now, usually I get one of you two to pick the first album, but I think it would be nice today because I don't know how long Trix is going to go before she dies. Should we just start this off with the tormenting of me with more Shakey Graves?
Yeah, rip it off like a Band-Aid.
I mean, hey, it's a live album.
Yeah. Where it's his stomping grounds, his best work. Like he does his best work live.
Do you remember what my take was about West of Calgary?
It was his best album that you had listened to.
Yeah. This is as good as West of Calgary.
I think this is
100%. I think so too.
West of Calgary is cool, but it's kind of just, hey, it's Shakey Graves in concert. This is more of like him being a showman and like talking and having fun in like a more commanding way.
Yes.
Like he was telling interesting or weird stories and just kind of interacting with the audience that was beyond just the, hey, I'm Shakey Graves, I'm playing a song, let me say a couple quick witty lines and then I'm going to move on.
Oh no, his banter is actually funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like talking about cocaine on a college campus.
Yes.
Or telling the story about trying or unsuccessfully being able to play Freebird and crying.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, that's a great one.
Wonderful little highlight. I'm glad that's like a little encore bit too.
Yeah, they do Freebird.
He does like his best like memory of what he thinks Freebird is.
Yeah.
Or even just the actual introduction to this album, where he's stating that, hey, this is a live album, and this is the first track, and then someone doodles on the guitars, and it's a joke of that's track 2, and it's actually track 2, and it's when I explain it, it's not so funny, but when you listen to it, it's a giggle.
Yeah,
it's cute.
It's like the thing you want it to be. Like if he were to say that and then it wasn't track 2, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're like, what sound mixer wasn't letting Shakey Graves have this moment?
Mm-hmm.
But I think, we have another live album we listen to, and I think it's easy to like talk about how we've heard these songs before, but hearing them live and hearing him really lean into them and accentuate certain parts and have fun with it is really just magical and nice.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I know it's easier with the style that Shakey Graves does, but the big comparison I can do as well for this live album compared to the other one, this is so better mixed.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
Like it's almost like it's not almost like being there, but it's almost like watching one of those classic videos on YouTube where it's like a full high quality concert film.
Yeah.
I mean, he even talks about, yeah, we moved the furniture out of the place so I can just be down here with everybody else, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of get the lived-in experience of being there. It's like a live at Jittery Joe's in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Live at Jittery Joe's is just watching a 480p video on YouTube. This is like the full HD quality. The radio.
I will say.
Go ahead.
I will say I do appreciate West of Calgary's production too. I do kind of appreciate that it's just like he set down a tape recorder and recorded a set. I like that there's that both can exist.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful too. Like having different concerts with different vibes. Like again, going back to Muse, like they don't really have that. Like the cool thing about Hullabaloo soundtrack is that it is half B-side, half concert, but that's it. They do a little weird stuff with the intro, but it's just the songs. This one we're listening to this week, they do a little embellishment, but it's just the songs. Mount Bellamy says a couple things. Like it sounds like it's in a stadium and it's mixed that way, and it's kind of just like you're watching the video from over somebody's shoulder. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But God, to live in it and just kind of, you know, if you're in the car, it's like Shakey Graves is there and he's just, you know, playing to you. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Well, a live album to me should always just be more than here's the songs with you know, people shouting with them. There should be a reason for me to listen to the live version of them. And honestly, with Shakey Graves, I don't really ever have a reason to listen to the studio version because I find the live versions to be just a lot more entertaining. And granted, I don't listen to Shakey Graves songs individually. I feel like just when you listen to these live albums, it's actually the most captivating. I get it. Maybe it is just because of his introductions and his banter and stuff like that, and the way it all is. But it's actually like the most. Okay, now I'm actually interested to hear your fucking music. And it's the most like it ever stays in my head, and I can't tell to you that like, oh yeah, all these songs still stick in my head, and like they're the most catchiest tunes I ever heard, or even that I'm like fully in love with the genre still. But it's genuinely like a whole. Okay, well, if Shakey Graves ever plays in my area, I'm going.
Wow.
And I didn't think I'd ever say that from fucking listening to the studio work. I think he's that much better as a fucking live performer.
To me, this
granted, if it's $80, I might be on the fence, but
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Hopefully, this sounds mean, but hopefully he doesn't have the cachet to command that kind of money.
Yeah, internationals, even at small venues, charge a lot.
How much was Your Arms?
Oh, Near Arms was different. They were $25, but they were a pretty fucking small venue too.
That's fair.
Like they weren't playing at really that dedicated music venues. They were playing it at small pubs that have a basement.
I mean, you gotta wonder, what is the Shakey Graves fandom like in Australia? Would it be more like that, or would it be a bigger thing?
I checked. Shakey Graves has played here and done a sideshow. They played the Factory Theatre, which is where Hot Mulligan played.
Okay, fair enough. Did you find out how much tickets were back then?
No, I think it was like 2016 or 2018. Let me check that out. Shakey Graves Factory Theatre. Adjusted for inflation, probably $100,000.
While Ritz does that, I would like to reiterate my case from a few years ago when I kind of first started bringing Shakey Graves on regularly, and that I think that Shakey Graves has true bardic powers.
Explain.
Well, performing live, you've seen now how he's captivated Ritz to the point where he's now looking up old ticket prices to see if he could afford to go to the show.
Oh no, I know I could afford. That's not the question.
I know. I'm phrasing it how it makes sense in my mind right now.
Yeah, fair enough. It was 2019. I'm going to assume it was like probably either 50 or 60.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
Okay.
Hopefully, he'll be back in Australia for us to actually compare and contrast.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to see Shakey Graves if ever he comes to my neck of the woods.
Yeah, I gotta be on the lookout now to make sure if he ever comes to Illinois next time, I'm on it. Because I think I missed it barely once.
I'm still not following him on Instagram, so I'm trusting you two to tell me. I'm not getting
I don't have Instagram.
Oh, it's up to Dominic.
Yeah, maybe we can get him to an interview or something eventually too.
Oh man!
Oh, he's gonna be in Illinois in July, but it's like
in late July,
in early July. But like he's going to like Springfield though.
Yeah, that's on the other side.
That's the south part. That's like a 4-hour drive, which is possible. Yeah. If I have the means to do so, that might be interesting. But I certainly don't have those means right now, so.
Yeah. I'm checking when he's going to New York next.
New York, he's going to be in Lafayette in June. He's gonna, yeah.
Oh, that's attainable for me.
June 28th at the Beacon Stiff Apple Orchards.
Yes, my aunt actually works there.
Oh.
But I would definitely not be able to get tickets from her because she hates me because I'm trans.
Well, guess you're showing up on your own.
That's just dark.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, good live album.
Tickets. That's not actually bad.
This kind of dive into transphobic mentions came in.
Sorry.
Should we? No. Should we fight your
aunt?
Should we declare war?
I think her husband does a good enough job of that already.
Oh.
Oh, that's right. Boomer relationships. They hate each other.
The Gen X.
All right.
Then why the fuck are they transphobic if they're Gen X?
Because they
Do they not know? Do they not know they can be nice?
Rich.
Rich Gen X. They cancel each other out.
Yes. Rich Gen X is boomer, basically.
Looking at the concert in Bloomington, Illinois, it's going to be on July 2nd, along with the Springfield one. So it's Bloomington to Springfield. I wonder if it's like a weird, if it's like some kind of traveling thing. That'd be interesting if it was. TBD. Doors open at 1900 hours. Okay, I'm curious how this is going to work out.
You'd suppose that they're going that way. So they're going Bloomington to Springfield.
Is it like a traveling bus? That'd be interesting. Huh. Then they stop at Bloomington? I don't know. Tickets are $40.
That's not too bad.
I need to learn more about what this is. But
he's playing in Calgary again.
Let's see, July, Bloomington on the 2nd, but when did they say they're playing it in Springfield?
Also on the 2nd.
Oh fuck! In August, he's supporting Tyler Childers.
Interesting.
I don't know who Tyler Childers is.
He's pretty big in like the alt country scene.
Oh, of course. How could I forget?
He supports him in a bunch of shows, actually.
That makes sense. He's supportive of a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Yeah. This Springfield to Bloomington thing. The doors open at 1900 hours in Springfield at 1930 in Bloomington. So this implies that it's some kind of traveling thing.
Maybe they've just gotten the name wrong because the poster only says Bloomington.
Bloomington to Springfield. And then Bloomington is the other one. I don't know. Maybe.
This is Tyler Childers, by the way.
Anyway.
Oh, he looks like an attractive man if he was in The Revenant. Like, both things at the same time, if that makes sense. He's attractive, but also
not to push us along, but we've been recording for like an hour and we're only up to the first album.
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful album. I think this is his best work since Roll the Bones X.
I think it's the best work since West of Calgary.
This is just phenomenal.
No least favorites, all favorites. Not much, not much is out of step there.
Yeah, I can't really say a least favorite either. It's not like I'm saying this at a 10 out of 10 kind of way. But I can't really say a least favorite when I was having fun the whole time, and that's the whole point of a live show, so.
Yeah.
Alright, we were talking about Trix, go ahead.
I was gonna say favorites for me. I always really enjoy Pansy Waltz, and I also just really enjoy all of the interludes where he's talking.
Yes.
And just phenomenal shit.
Shout out
No
to
least favorites.
Shout out to the talking interludes and kind of just introducing songs. I do think it's his best version of Late July.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And then, Chinatown's really nice to have live too. Now, we were talking about live albums. So let's go to the Muse one. Those are right there.
It sucks in comparison.
Yeah.
Live at Rome Olympic Stadium, where they play Second Law and Resistance and a little bit of Lackles.
Yeah, it's certainly a bunch of Muse songs performed live.
Yeah.
I mean, when Supremacy starts, I'm like, okay, I'll give this a listen because this is, and this is kind of how I want to put this. I think we're really edging the point which I'd like to claim is the calling it the death of Muse is a weird thing because everybody likes to go, oh, this is the point where it started to die or everything like that. I'm putting in the point of when Muse is dead. And some people might even argue later. Definitely for me, the point where I stopped listening to them or all their new stuff or getting hyped or anything like that was Trix. That is, I believe, the next in the sequences in the Domino.
It is.
Yeah. So we've really kind of been edging our way there. And this is what I was kind of hoping to get from this was being like, okay, well, here is just a wrap up, a live show of, you get that big hits and stuff like that, I guess, obviously, of them going into this. The last hurrah, maybe we go, okay, well, actually, this live album is good. It's really good. Like, it's one of the best live albums or anything like that. It's just it's in that high of a bar, knowing what they usually sound like. And this is just what it usually sounds like. I mean, Muse were a mainstream stadium rock band, and this is maybe this is the true death of them because this is where they go and say, yeah, we're a stadium rock band, and now we know what drone sounds like.
Yeah,
and
it's always worth mentioning with this one and the previous live album too that the CD versions are like the cut down versions.
Yeah.
The DVD ones are like way longer with way more songs.
Yeah, that tends to be.
I mean, I'd assume so because I didn't think they would play an Olympic Stadium show, and only play for an hour. I didn't think that would ever happen.
No, and I'm double checking, but I'm sure they were filmed at different days too, or something like that.
Yeah. But the only time I could really say that I felt like Muse themselves, like obviously
it's the same show this time. Okay, cool.
Like obviously you can hear the crowd singing along and stuff like that, and it's always kind of funny to hear what the crowd is doing stuff. But the only time that I think Muse did anything actually interesting on this whole live album was at the end of Nights of Sidonia, where they do the little fucking higher ground riff that's kind of done seamlessly into the outro. I thought that was kind of funny.
I liked when he did the harmonica solo opening. That was interesting. At least it was a Morricone reference.
But yeah, I mean, this is also. I wasn't comparing it to West of Calgary, the other one. I think this is pretty poorly mixed.
In that, like Matt Bellamy's voice is super low in the mix.
Everything is fucking low in the mix. It's hard to kind of distinguish a lot of what's happening.
Okay, so I was definitely futzing with my volume a lot this week. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that's like kind of the biggest criticism I can do about this album is just that. Yeah, this really sounds like I'm watching it through someone's iPhone.
It does. Fucking 4K cameras and shit. You think they would have the audio equipment to back that up?
They didn't, and then they this is good enough. It really wasn't.
20 lines of multi-track audio were recorded according to Wikipedia, all redundant.
Yeah, it's really badly mixed. I was shocked by that.
I mean, yeah.
Granted, it's a stadium show. It's obviously it's harder to get the acoustics right than it is for the Shakey Graves. It's hard to compare that because also Shakey Graves is just him and the guitar basically.
Yeah.
Can't forget about Jeb.
Yeah, Jeb is in there as well. Jeb Bush wins.
Yeah, no, that's the
Yeah,
problem with a lot of stadium shows, right? Is that like you're kind of there to see the band, you're not really there for the music experience. I don't.
And I could go and say, okay, well, now that I got all this context, do I still criticize them? And the answer is yes, because I'm still listening to the fucking album.
I mean, it follows that, yeah, it's criticizable because they're doing the songs. Only a few of the songs have any like major differences or like fun little additions to them.
And then the next thing is that obviously what they're going to pick to play live more, and then that's going to be what they have the bigger draw from, is Second Law and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, Supremacy and Madness, the good songs from it, yeah, they actually translate all right to the live setting, but nothing else from the album does.
Panic Station was an odd choice to be second for sure. I think.
But
Matt,
like
yeah,
Guiding Light.
Guiding Light's such a stadium track.
Guiding Light's from a different album as well, but it just, I don't think that one really passed it well. That was from Resistance, and I would have enjoyed it more on the studio as I felt actually. Anyway,
Follow Me was decently done because that's more of a
it was alright
kind of hype song. But I don't know.
I mean,
it's hard.
I'm honestly surprised that Uprising wasn't the closer, I guess, in this point. But I mean, I guess, it's between that and Starlight. I don't criticize their placements in the track listing.
It sounds like Uprising was the closer. Starlight was like the encore.
Encore, yeah. But I don't know. It felt like a pretty weak set list to get in general here. Like there was just a lot of moments that just were kind of boring to get through. It felt like, okay, well now I'm just trying to focus on what's happening, but then nothing interesting is happening comparing to it. And so it's a weird thing to compare. What is a good live album and what is a bad live album? And it's hard to describe, but you fucking know it when you hear it, and that's what we've had today.
And I don't think it's something that can be fixed by adding more tracks. Like, if we were to look at the DVD breakthrough timeline sequence, whatever you want to fucking call it, yeah, hearing Plug-in Baby and Feeling Good and Time Is Running Out and Undisclosed Desires would be interesting. Hearing Isolated System would be weird. But I don't think those will really add anything more than just like, oh man, instead of being like an hour long, it's almost 2 hours long.
No, I fully agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a shame because we're talking like, yeah, the set list is a little weak, but it's all the hits, all the major recent hits.
I mean, when it comes to Second Law is the one that we. I mean, you two enjoyed it a lot more than I did. But it's still the one where that's had a lot of the criticism. I think it actually had more criticism than Drones did, to be honest. But they're still defendable with it. It feels like they're at least trying to experiment and not just like half-ass do it. Whether or not their concepts were good was a different story. This it's the start of where it's kind of the start of where Muse gets really hard to defend.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about doing 2 studio albums and a live album, and 2 studio albums and a live album. It's a decent pace to work at, but if you're like trying to listen to the live albums and appreciate them, they kind of start bumping up against each other. And when you have so many, it's hard to really give a identity to them unless you're like Shakey Graves, doing different things with each one.
Yeah.
This is I just hate that I know what comes next as well.
Oh yes.
I almost picked it for next week, but no, I'm not in that headspace right now. I can't do that right now.
And Matt Bellamy, you I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of people who are hyped about it at the show, and I guess that is your job as a live performer. So I can't actually criticize that. But I talk about listening to this as the album just properly here. For the love of fuck, you need to learn how to swear.
Does he swear?
Every time he dropped an F-bomb out of nowhere, it was cringe.
Oh
because
yeah.
he made sure everybody knew. I'm not that kid anymore. You know that fucking meme of JoJo Siwa just wait until I drop the F-bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this.
I almost forgot they were in there, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, because they don't add anything. He's just going in and like it's a true Rage Against the Machine wannabe moment.
Only thing I'd positive
Yeah.
I can really say is that Madness still hit when it's supposed to hit.
No, I agree with that.
They managed to translate that to the live setting, which is something on its own. That could have been a huge flat moment. But I think the audience helping with the chorus and everything made it something that was interesting and not just a repeat. Having the little interlude on God, was Hysteria all the way from Absolution? Jesus Christ.
Yep.
But the interlude into Hysteria was a nice little add-in. The harmonica part was interesting. And then having, the little things they did with Supremacy to open the album. I like when there's little differences. But beyond that, I'm so glad we're done with these.
Yeah.
I don't even want to do favorites or least favorites, because the least favorite is just Matt Bell and me saying the F word.
Hey, the Madness hit was good. That Madness is the favorite.
I still don't. I still can't understand Muse.
What did you think from all those Tricks?
It's just Muse songs I've heard before, but poorly mixed and live.
Yeah?
So a worse version of something I'm not already too interested in.
You were more interested in the second law. You said that was the one that clicked with you the most.
Yeah, it was good, but it's still not something I go back to. Like, I enjoyed it, but like I don't know how to explain it properly right now.
That's fair. It's not good kitchen music, I would assume.
Oh God, no. Maybe Hysteria, but like I would go for the studio version over the live version.
I think most people would, because you'll just hear a bunch of audience clapping instead. But yeah, that's that live album sorted, I suppose. Anyone want to talk about anything?
I'll let you choose the next one.
Let's talk.
Let's let Trix.
How about as a surprise? What my favorite for this week will be Dr. Scher's Unusual Practice.
No, that's not a surprise.
That's not a surprise at all.
No.
Well, I figured with Shakey Graves.
Oh, that's fair.
No. This is pretty close to Egg Punk, so I figured that would be your style. So Dr. Shaw's Unusual Practice. I got recommended this by my friends up in Brisbane, even though this is a Melbourne-based artist. I saw them just before I saw Trine in March. That one was a good one, actually. Where straight after the show ended, went straight on a bus to Vic on the Park. Great show, great day. Both of these were. They are a very transparent band as well when it comes to all the PR and all the bullshit and finances about everything. So just really lovely and refreshing to have. And then their music is just good as well.
Yeah, this is a really solid album.
Yeah.
It's
definitely got its own style that's kind of happening musically as well. This isn't with a lot of the egg punk that I guess we've heard, there's a risk of it sounding very similar, but I think this stands out. And I wouldn't really call it egg punk too much. It's more egg punk and post punk, which is similar in a way. But it's like in its own blur between the two.
They've picked up what they like. They picked up stuff from B-52s. They picked up stuff from even probably the network, I would say. But like they do their own kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the songs are nice, kind of short, catchy. It keeps your head up. Head up is great.
This is a very short album. This is 29 minutes long.
Yeah, it sells it. It's worth it. 29 minutes. When artists do something that's that short, they have to have enough good music to back it up. You're like, why would you want to spend money on this at this point? It's going to be an EP. No, this is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like 10. Is it 10 songs or 11 songs? I need to.
It's 10.
Yeah, remember myself on there. But you're right. Like one of the big highlights about it is like even when this is still like very like it has a very simplistic or minimalistic sound that's going on, but the songs are incredibly fucking catchy. Like realist, I'm the real estate agent.
I'm the real. I'm the realist.
I'm the realist. I'm the real estate agent. And
Like
it's
Bond. James Bond.
I'm trying to find like what's the best way of describing what the sound is here. It's kind of got like this.
It's like if the B-52s didn't have Fred Schneider, but just had someone that was like also kind of along for the ride.
It's like if Oddworld was more of a post-punky genre, really. Like it's almost sci-fi, you know, like not like modern sci-fi, but almost like 50s, 60s sci-fi kind of.
Yeah, like Matter
sound, if you get what I mean.
Or kind of like Nuclear Club.
Yeah, Uranium Club.
Uranium Club, Jesus. Yes.
Yeah, but it's yeah, no, that album was good. Yeah, but it's not the same vibe as those in the instrumentation.
Yeah, it's a little more slick. It's a little more camp than those.
Yeah.
I think saxophone is played at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right with B-52s being like probably one of the best comparisons you can do here.
But like just not
because it has that style of camp. Yeah, it's not French. It's not that style of like vocals or anything like that. But it's like that style of like camp, I guess we call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is a
that's kept tight.
Yeah.
It's a really fun little album. They put on a good live show as well. I don't think they're ever going to tour America with the money that they have.
That's totally fair.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for those who can see them, I recommend seeing them. Yeah, it's hard to really say too much more other than this is just like a collection of really catchy songs. Like I can't tell you this is like put out in a full flowed album. There's interludes between songs that connect everything, and there's all these big topics and everything. It is more just a collection of songs, but the important thing for any album is that the songs are good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it'll be a top 10 at the end of the year, but it will be an album that I remember.
Yeah, there'll be songs that will stay in the listening. I think Real Estate and Keeps Your Head Up are probably my highlights on this.
Yeah, Keeps Your Head Up, Realist, Never Enough's really good too.
The ending as well, All Good Ends Must Come to a Thing.
Yeah.
I would say that's nominally my least favorite, only because it's the end.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, if you do it as a comparison to the songs, yes, but like it is just kind of a funny little ending that's happening.
It's also the end of a good album. Who likes that?
Yeah. Who does? I like Escalator Man. Escalator Man's fun.
Yeah. Favorites probably Realist and Keep Your Head Up. I'd probably agree with All Good Ends Must Come to a Thing, or yeah, that's probably my least favorite because I can't say I hate anything of it. It's a good listen start to finish. It's just consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid 8 out of 10.
Meanwhile, it's time to talk about some noise. Now,
yes, the other thing I picked.
Imagine for a second if Early Health had a budget. I think it would sound a little bit like Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay, so Sonic Citadel, Lightning Bolt, they've been around for a long fucking time.
Yeah,
I think
as old as I am.
Yeah, their first album came out late 90s. The version I have is 1999, but I think it actually came out much earlier on a cassette. No, it was because they had fucking the Zone cassette thing like that, which is just a recording that they did that came out in like 96 or something. I feel.
97, 98, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. They actually rose to prominence in the early noughties. Wonderful Rainbow got quite a lot of praise. I don't think it got quite a lot of sales, but it definitely got a lot of praise. The band themselves are well known for their guerrilla style of performances. I don't think they ever like to play on stage. I think they always love to play in the middle of crowds.
You get the sense
some actual insane.
You get the sense that they are people that just like doing what they want to do, and that like actual music convention and constraints are more of a problem that they just deal with.
Yeah.
They successfully pissed off the Rock Band community when Rock Band 4 got released, as they were one of the first, I think, the first noise rock artists to get released, and everybody was like, "Oh, put in Ministry," and no, they got what song was it? It was Dream Genie, a 6.5 minute noise rock track put into Rock Band 4, which is just funny.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
experimenting
Sonic
with what Rock
Citadel
Band has, that's cool.
Currently, probably their most melodic album. That's the insane part. This is their most melodic.
Yeah, I could see
Released in 2019. It's currently their last album that they have. I don't think they've broken up or anything. I think it's just been COVID and stuff, and they haven't put out anything since. I loved the shit out of this in 2019, but never picked it for the podcast. And now the question comes to you two: should I have picked it? I mean, obviously, I was picking Australian artists. That was the reason why I didn't. But should I have picked it?
Trix?
Sorry, I just heard something outside and I freaked me the fuck out. What was the question?
Should I have picked this in 2019?
No, maybe not. Ease us into it a little bit more. I don't think I would have liked this quite as much in 2019.
I think you should have picked it. I think this would have been interesting to listen to. This would have been a huge moment for like noise rock probably being more of a thing on the podcast.
Yeah.
Kind of did Health and that's it.
Yeah. And I'm still debating if I go see Health this year. They're playing in August. Yeah, they're playing in August.
I'm sure that'd be interesting to see. I've kind of fallen off of Modern Health, but I still like them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is an intense album start to finish, and the fact that this is probably one of their softer albums goes to show just how heavy Lightning Bolt gets. Bouncy House was actually like number 12 or something for me in my top 100. I'm actually going to go check the exact number right now. I played the shit out of it because it's a fucking bouncy tune. What can you say? It's fun.
Yeah.
I was quite into Big Banger. I think the noise they did for that was quite engaging for me.
It was number 12. I was right. There's also the opening to Air Conditioning, which sounds like they're fucking messing with the fucking megaphone.
Yeah, and then Husker Don't is kind of when they get a little more like melodic and lyrical, but not an amazing amount.
And then randomly the most softest song on here, Don Henley in the Park, which actually starts with a guitar riff that you can hear.
And I mean, they're just two people, a bassist and a drummer. So
yeah. It's not much that's working with this. For when like we go about noise rock, and I'm talking about how like, you know, that's the first one you can hear. It is a very distorted album on purpose.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but despite that distortion, you actually can still properly distinguish the differences in the instrumentation. That's the insane part. Like the vocals, there are lyrics. I've never really bothered to actually read them. Because it's always felt more like instrumentation to me, and that's what this is. It's just a bunch of chaos, but chaos in such an organized way that it just fucking hits. And there's just been a lot of those moments. Like the drumming is just so fucking insane on this album.
Yeah, absolutely. After listening to this, I think the biggest problem this album has is that like when you get to Van Halen 2049. You've listened to so much and have been through so much that like having the 9-minute song to end the album almost feels redundant.
Yeah.
Like
it's not even their longest closer.
I'm sure it's not, but like that's my one big criticism with it is like I think Van Halen is like one of my least favorite tracks because it's just the stuff.
I agree. But that's because I feel like Van Halen, that track's biggest highlight is like the closing 2 minutes where it gets into this absolute fucking chaos, which is so much more chaotic than the rest of the album. But it's taken too long to get there, and you've kind of just died down from it. And like it would have been better, like if we had just those 2 minutes, you closing it out. I think it would have been a better song. Because the album works when you have this chaotic mess, and then just to have the most chaotic thing possible, but after you've kind of relaxed it for 6 minutes, come on.
Like, you know, when you start with like Below to the Head and USA as a Psycho, you just get those rough pounding beats, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, Dominic likes the rough pounding.
It's great. And like it changes enough that it keeps it interesting. Like they start out with a couple 3-minute songs, and I think they're good for doing that. There were some of the shorter ones on the album, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you get eased into it, I think, for me, probably after Halloween 3 is when I'm like fully in it, and it's like, yeah, all right, what else you got? And a lot of
I still fucking love.
Like I'm not gonna.
That the fucking drop, the drop happens in Bouncy House, and it's fucking it's like 4.5 minutes of probably the same riff, to be honest. But it's just so good, especially in the context of the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to downplay Bouncy House and like Tom Thump and stuff, but by that point, I'm definitely like in it, and it's still building. But Van Halen is like the part where I get out of the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy we haven't done that much noise rock, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Lightning Bolt's discography is not small. If we ever decide to go back into Lightning Bolt, there is a fucking lot to go through.
I'm down for whatever.
I mean, Wonderful Rainbow, I believe, is actually their highest rated album as well, and then Hyper Magic Mountain as well was pretty up there, which I know Fantano has always said it's the album that he loves but can't listen to without getting a pounding headache.
That makes me want to listen to it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The album art for Hyper Magic Mountain gives me very big stomach book vibes.
I have the vinyl for that album. It's not important, it's just I wanted to brag.
Hell yeah. Flex on us peasants.
I picked it up in Wollongong, actually. There was a music shop and they had it. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Well, I'm going to scare the hose. Let's go! Hyper Magic Mountain!
I think all of their album art is actually pretty nice looking. They got some definite like illustrator artistic vibe that both captures what they're doing, but also very much is like disengaging in a way of like it disarms you.
Plus, Ride the Skies, I believe, is actually like it's weird because you wouldn't consider this album to be it, but Ride the Skies is more math rocky at times.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So they've actually do have differences in their album, or just it's more so in the structure of their songs, I find. But yeah, it's an interesting band to go through. This was actually my discovery to Lightning Bolt with Sonic Citadel. So I can't claim that I've been there since the start. Obviously, you can't expect I'll be there from the start. They started before I was born. But yeah, I mean, fucking kicks ass, this album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are from the Rhode Island School of Design, so I have known people that have gone there. It's a really prestigious art school, so part of me is like, where else would a noise rock band like this be from if they have a college background, but the RISD crowd? But this is legitimately like no pretension, just great.
Favorites for me: Blows to the Head, Air Conditioning, Bouncy House. Least favorite, I mean, Don Henley in the Park has never actually been one of my favorites, but I think it's just funny how much it stands out in this mess.
Yeah.
I don't actually have it as my least favorite. Least favorite's Van Halen 2049.
I like Blow to the Head. I like Big Banger most, and then Van Halen's my least favorite.
This was a cheese sandwich for me. I could not tell you individual songs at all.
I think that's the most fair cheese sandwich you've ever given.
Yeah.
All right. Which means now we tie it up with In Rainbows and In Rainbows Disc 2. Which, if you heard the way I said that, kind of reflects how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm not actually that hype on this album.
I fucking love In Rainbows.
I still don't get Radiohead.
I like some of the songs on it, but I just find... I mean, the whole big draw about In Rainbows is that, this is the math rock Radiohead album.
This is like dark acoustic, which I like.
Don't get me wrong. I like this conceptually. This isn't me going and saying like, "Oh no, this album actually sucks," because that would just be a shit take. I just, outside of Weird Fishies and Jigsaw falling into place, I've never cared too much about this album. And then going back and listening to it again and listening to the B-sides for the first time, which, don't get me wrong, I think they're interesting. I mean, maybe it's lost in the sauce that is the whole of Radiohead, but yeah, I mean, I feel like this album basically at this point was hyped purely because this is Radiohead. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, they had a bad album apparently to come out that's got a lot of criticism now these days. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just it's good. Not in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like, you have the progression, the ramp upward from Pablo Honey all the way to, Kid A and Amnesiac, and then the one after that I'm blanking on right now for some reason. Hail to the
one
Thief.
after Amnesiac. Hail to the Thief, yeah.
Like, you have that full build up, and then Hail to the Thief is the one that gets a lot of criticism, and it really feels like they kind of stopped and like rethought about how they did things. And
I was talking about the King of Limbs.
Yes, this is the.
But we aren't there yet, I guess. Yeah,
this is the shining in the darkness between the two controversial Radiohead albums, more or less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they got away from that. Bigger is better. You got to make a bigger album. You got to make a better album every time. And this is like them out of the spiral, just making something different and interesting. And I think that's awesome. Like, I love that. Like, 15 Steps is a really interesting beginning, and like 15 Step, I should say. Like, the little details that are there, like the little children's hooray you hear every now and then is just weird, but I dig it. And then like Body Snatchers is like a little bit more of like a regular Radiohead song, but it's just weird enough that it fits the vibe. And I like, this is an album that's fully vibes for me. It's dark acoustic. It has some little instrumentation of like an orchestral thing happening, but so much of it is just acoustic, kind of downbeat moments. Like, Videotape is like the saddest one, but Reckoner is probably my favorite Radiohead song, and it just sounds so beautiful. And False Darp is there too. House of Cards is a really great just example of where you go from Hail to the Thief to this. House of Cards is just a nice chill out song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the thing I criticize Green Day a lot, because no matter what Green Day is doing at this point, they always have to have the flawless production. They always have to have the highest quality sound, whatever. They're not really willing to take risk and do something different. They're still like, oh, it's punk, it's rock and roll, it's whatever. I don't get that feeling from this, even though Radiohead at this point has command of whatever they fucking want to do to make whatever they fucking want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these 10 tracks, I think, make a fantastic album. I think the B-sides are just normal Radiohead songs.
Yeah, I mean, Disc 2 is not on the same level as Disc 1. Disc 2 is just, here's a bunch of other songs. And honestly, I don't really care about any of them other than Bangers and Mash, which I thought was actually a pretty cool... It sounds completely fucking different to the rest of the album as well.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it stands out more. But, and yeah, like I can get the whole appreciating, because this goes for a vibe that, honestly, I think they've hit those vibes on earlier albums before, but those albums have, not been so concentrated as In Rainbows is.
And I think that's part of why I like it so much, is that it is so concentrated.
In a sense, I'd probably agree though, especially with the sandwich that it's in. It's definitely the meat, because it's better than a bread.
Yeah.
No, I'm disrespecting some breads, because there are some breads that are fantastic, but it's a quality piece of meat. I appreciate it for what it is. Just talking about it as an actual proper album, though, now, yeah, I don't know. It maybe I'm spoiled by everything else that I've heard. I don't think this is an album that I can say is a Seinfeld effect, because I don't think this one was compared to what a lot of other Radiohead albums are. I don't think this one is so much uniquely like its own thing. Maybe it's hard to say it's not uniquely Radiohead, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's Seinfeld affected by themselves, but in the other way around. So I'm actually just saying that they're just copying themselves.
I suppose.
I guess that is really what people wanted more than Hail to the Thief or King of Limbs. And like I said, there are good moments on it, but other than that, it's just like, well, Kid A has a lot of these vibes as well, and I feel like that's a better album.
I mean, yeah, there are these vibes everywhere else. Like ever since OK Computer, these vibes have kind of existed. I think the difference here is that those other albums have been large enough that they had other songs that were interesting, but were not the same vibe. Were not for me what I wanted as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna sit here and like go through each of those 3 or 4 albums and like go through them, but like Hail to the Thief starts off super well, and then it kind of goes up and down a lot throughout the rest of it. Every Radiohead album basically does that for me. This is the one where it's like a smooth 10-track, just beginning to end, wall to wall vibe, aesthetic, just something that hits me in the best way.
Yeah.
I really struggle to really talk about this one, to be honest. I mean, I guess it's kind of funny comparing this to where we are with Muse, because what's the next one that we do for Radiohead, Dominic? Is it the King of Limbs?
Yes, it would be the King of Limbs. Well, technically, next would be the Eraser remixes up against Drones, because I don't want to do King of Limbs and Drones because I feel like that's just going to be a lot to handle.
But we'll still say it as what the error is, and that is kind of what it is. It's kind of the moment before the big flop. And I guess the King of Limbs isn't really that big of a flop, as much as compared as Drones is. And obviously Radiohead have had a bit of a better return than Muse did.
What Radiohead does from here on is really interesting in terms of how it kind of divides, comes back together.
Yeah.
Muse, not so much.
And the most bullshit thing about this whole experiment that you've done over the past how long at this point is that somehow you've been correct. As in, yes, these are actually 2 careers that are like worth comparing to each other. I think that's the most bullshit thing out of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it feels illegal to be saying that we're comparing, especially with their last albums, but just going into history, and it's just music, is comparing Muse and Radiohead. And I've probably said it many times, but seriously, fuck you.
Honestly, my original intention was to be like, yeah, Muse is not Radiohead. Muse has their own identity. And they do. But we've also kind of been like, yeah, there's also so much else to compare with them that also puts them in a similar category.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want it and I lost.
I think this is the last moment in which we can kind of properly say, well, it's not the exact last moment, but I think we're approaching it. The last moment in which we can kind of say this is the comparable part. Because then they kind of fully split.
Yeah, well, yes. In that Radiohead has a lot of more side projects pop up now, and we kind of got that with the Eraser before. The Muse side projects, aside from a little bit of film work with Johnny Greenwood, don't really pop up until much more recently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that eventually. Unwittingly, I guess. But we will certainly see who had a better spin-off band, whether that's Atoms for Peace or the Jaded Hearts Club. Whenever we get to that.
And don't forget, if we continue going, we've also got the Smile now.
And that'll loop back around to being comparable to what Matt Bellamy put out a couple of years ago as his solo album.
Mm.
The other notable thing about In Rainbows is that it was Radiohead's breakaway from the big record labels. They put it out as a pay-what-you-want download.
Pay what you want. Yep, I can remember that because the Chasers had a joke in which they said that the In Rainbows album is available for download on their site on a pay what we want, which is $200.
It's a good joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I do remember this also did hit the Hottest 100 as well with one song with because I've been doing that bullshit as well. Jigsaw Falling Into Place made it at like 92 or something like that. The album actually made it to number 2 in the albums poll for, I think this is 2007.
Yep.
Yep, I believe it was it 92 or was it 94? It might have been, it was 94, so it was somehow even worse. Funnily enough, number 4 was Arcade Fire's Neon Bible. This is for albums. Number 3 was Kings of Leon because of the times. Number 2 was Radiohead in Rainbows, and number 1 was John Butler Trio's Grand National.
What a weird year of music.
Yeah.
Number 5, by the way, was Silverchair's Young Modern. And number 10 was Arctic Monkeys' Favorite Worst Nightmare.
That was the birth of indie music, 2007.
Yes.
That wasn't even the birth of Arctic Monkeys.
I know, it's a joke.
Favorite Worst Nightmare, I think, was the first Arctic Monkeys to chart at all in America, wasn't it?
I think so.
Because I don't think they debuted it. And this isn't even that high, I think, because I know AM was like the one where they actually broke out properly, but
I mean,
anyway,
at that point they were probably on the Cage the Elephant trajectory of like people know some of the songs.
Are we fucking gonna do an Arctic Monkeys for Cage the Elephant next year?
No, because we've
already covered a Cage the Elephant for it's illegal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I like how that's the reason why we're not doing it, not that it's not actually the same. All right. Anyway, back in the Rainbows.
I think this is the best one. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10, but it's my favorite.
I enjoy this album enough, but I don't really have any desire to go back to it. I think it's just cool to have it on CD, so now I'm trying to test my indie cred. I can say, hey, I have the Rainbows on CD. What about you? That being said, yeah, it's okay. I like songs off it, but I feel like the rest of it is just stuff that I've heard before from Radiohead before and done better. Favorites are Jigsaw Falling Into Place and Weird Fishes. Least favorites probably something like Forced Off, because I couldn't really remember it at all.
Bitch.
I have really nothing to say about these two albums.
This is so wild to me because
I still do not get Radiohead. It is just like whenever I listen to it, my brain just like shuts off part of to like that shit that makes sense.
And you were going back to a little bit here and there.
The sleep deprivation is kicking in.
We're almost done, Trix. We're almost there.
Yes.
No, I remember in high school we had to make a video for a class, and I definitely used All I Need in the video for a sad moment. And I'm like, God damn, I really fucking love this album. In the time that I was a Radiohead fan hugely in high school, I kind of feel like I got that out of me back then, so I could be more into music now in a weird way. As absurd as that sounds. Mm-hmm. I think this is the one album that really stands the test of time to me. All of it's my favorite. If I had to pick a least favorite, maybe Body Snatchers. Maybe. Because it's the one that sounds the most like a regular Radiohead song. But I really love Faustarp and Reckoner. Probably the most.
Blender.
Disc 2, MK1 is cool because it's definitely a reverse remix of Videotape into something else. Down as a new up has some really interesting dissonant kind of things happening in the sound. Bangers and Mash was cool. But yeah, it's way more traditional, just like there's no vibe. It's like if you had other tracks and just there's no magic, the curtain is lifted. It's just some songs.
I guess we go to the rankings for this week, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should probably come to no one's surprise what the least favorite is. So I think to everyone, it's the Muse.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll continue on from there, I guess. Then by just how I guess it has to go. I mean, In Rainbows Disc 2. After that, then In Rainbows. Then Total Reality. Then Live at the Fox, then Sonic Citadel. Although Live at the Fox and Total Reality are pretty close to each other, but I think I have it as Live at the Fox just by a little bit.
Where would you put Dan Macy in there?
It's not really comparable. It's a bunch of demos and unreleased things. It's not a proper thing. I'm not going to rank it.
Okay.
Trix, before you die, go ahead.
Actually, I'm just gonna 100%. Ritz had the exact order I had.
Fair enough. I will also agree that Muse is last. I will also agree that In Rainbows Disc 2 is after that. this is probably about the place where I would put. I guess I'll shuffle in Dan Macy right here because I do want to state this has actually been a really excellent week of really good stuff, and what's at the top here is only at the top because it is truly that good, and it's been actually tough to choose. So I'm slotting in Dan Macy right here because I think Lightning Bolt Sonic Citadel is great. And I think Dr. Scher's Unusual Practice, Total Reality, it's a little better, but it's also really great.
Yeah.
Number 2, we're going to Shakey Graves Live at the Fox, because number 1 is In Rainbows, because In Rainbows is fantastic.
Well, Universal number 2.
Hell yeah.
Universal last place, baby.
Yeah.
I usually get that one.
No, well, Trix got the Universal number 2. Domino got the Universal number last. And I kind of just shook everything else up.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about next week.
Someone else can go first because I like going last.
I can go first.
Sure.
So I had a bit of a fun game I played with you guys this week. I had 2 choices.
Yes.
And I posted a photo of Fresh Step kitty litter.
Yeah.
And the demon on the cover of Doom, 1994. And I had you guys pick from them with no extra context.
Yeah.
And you both picked the kitty litter.
Yes.
Yep.
And then before we recorded, I posted another photo. Do you know who that is in the photo?
I believe that's Jack White.
It is not Jack White.
It isn't like my only other guess, and I don't think it is. I know it's definitely something heavy.
Is it Danzig?
It's Danzig.
Yes, it is. Of course it is.
We are going to be covering the Misfits.
All right.
All I want.
And we are going to be covering Collection and Collection 2.
Collection and Collection 2.
I just like the idea that some paparazzo took a picture of Danzig with kitty litter and thought, like, yeah, this is the prime picture to take.
It's a great photo of him.
He's just doing some shopping.
Yeah.
What the fuck is
the dude's also like 5'3".
Is there a Collection 1?
So
yeah, it's just called Collection. It's yellow.
When is it from? I'm looking at his discography and it doesn't list it.
The Misfits.
It's under the Misfits. It's also called Misfits.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
So I already told you two what I was gonna pick. I ain't here to do any bullshit because I've actually just been obsessing about this album or some certain songs about it. So we'll see what happens when it goes under the critical knife. I'm doing the Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick and their album, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Was it the Iliad or the Iliad? I don't know. I think it's Iliad. Yeah, the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick.
The Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick is such a fucking...
That's a great title.
Apparently it's based on an Austrian short novel.
And it's called the Iliad and the Odyssey.
And the Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick by the Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick.
I've read one of these.
I remember in high school they had us read parts of the Odyssey, and I just said, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't want to read part of a book.
Oh, I 100. We had to read the entire thing, and I just fucking spark notes it because I could not read that prose at all.
I would have rather have tried to read the whole thing. Anyway,
that's it. There's no extra on that.
As people may or may not know, I lost my job recently, and so I'm in a really different headspace. So I'm just gonna.
So this week we are not going to plug anything except for Dominic's GoFundMe.
I mean, we can still plug stuff. Come on. But there's been an album playing in the apartment a lot, thanks to my roommates, and so I am in the mood for this. What's that, Ritz?
I said my condolences.
So we're gonna listen to this. We'll see what happens.
Oh my god, if I swear, if this starts off with 2 days, gonna be the day.
It is The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan.
I have about 5 different gays right now who are just screaming in unison.
Same high-pitched scream. I can hear it over here. Wait, that might just be the birds.
I don't think I need to talk about this one. I think I can just get one of them on it, and they will just gush about it for fucking 5 years.
But do we need just gushing from uninterested third parties in proclaiming the standards of practice that we have fully brought to pass on these last 5 years of a podcast?
We brought in scab labor for when Ritz doesn't want to cover Green Day, man.
Well, for those who are curious at all or anything, I haven't actually listened to the album in full, but Red Ryan Supernova did make 196 on my countdown last year. So I am not a hater of Chappelle Ryan.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we listened to Peach PRC, so...
I like some pop.
Yeah.
I just also now looked and realized that Chappelle Ryan has probably got their biggest hit happening this year as well. So, because "Good Luck Babe" is currently the most streamed song, and that was released a month ago.
Do we want to add that or no?
It's not the most popular song. That's up to you. I don't know if there's an album. There probably is an album or an EP coming, but
we'll wait on that one. This album I think has enough to talk about, considering the singles were released between 2020 and 2023.
That's interesting.
But yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna go put out the message to the gays. Attention, old gays. Dominic picked Chappelle.
Yes, I picked Chappell Roan's The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess. Trix has picked the Misfits. Misfits, aka Collection, and Collection 2. And Riddle.
You downloading it?
What was that?
What?
What's happening?
I have no idea.
There was a knock, and something happened. Anyway, Ritz's only pick this week is the Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kicks album, Iliad and the Odyssey and the Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick. While we wait,
Ritz lagged out.
No, he's on mute. I think something popped up.
I completely lagged out, but I'm fine now. I don't know what the fuck happened.
There was a knock, and it sounded like you got taken or something.
No, that's the gays coming for me.
Australian internet is homophobic.
No. What happened was I thought I just lagged out to the max to the point where I couldn't hear anything like that. And I was like, is this someone downloading something? But partner's internet was working fine. So and I actually then typed I lagged out, and my internet was actually working fine. So Discord just fucked up.
Discord is homophobic.
Yeah, Discord is homophobic. Anyway, what was the last thing I said?
You said something, and then the knock happened. I wasn't sure what you said.
Oh yeah, I said I'm just gonna go. You gotta go post on the Oz Music now. To all the gays that you picked Chappelle Ryan.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And I've already announced the album titles again. If you can do it again, if you'd like.
No.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Dissonant Ways. My name is Dominic. I guess we'll link my GoFundMe in the show notes. If you'd be so kind to donate, because I don't have money right now, that'd be really awesome. And I'm being really facetious and comical about this because it's actually really embarrassing, and I don't want to really announce and tackle this in any meaningful, serious way. So thank you. My other links are also in the show notes as well.
And remember that if Dominic doesn't get money or has a place to stay, then these podcast episodes will go from 2 hours to 5 minutes.
Yes, I'm also the editor and the poster, so keep that in mind.
Yes.
I've posted 2 episodes in my life.
I posted the second most. Okay. Hey, stop eating my headphones.
Monte. You still plugging? I can't remember.
You two can plug stuff. Don't be shy.
I'm going to plug Domino's GoFundMe.
I guess we're sticking to the bit. Trix, Ritz. Sorry.
Hold on. So you can catch me at https:// www.gofundme.com/f/help-dominic-recoup-lost-rages-build-back-his-life ?
We're playing in the embarrassing game today. That's fine.
Oh, damn straight every week. Just Just because you think you're on the verge of homelessness means you won't bully you? Nah, get out of here.
Funny, that's what my
But
roommate
seriously,
said to me the other
if
day.
anybody, if anybody can at the very least, share the GoFundMe.
Yes,
That's
that
really
would be
all we asked for.
legitimately
I
nice.
mean, that's all me and Trix asked for. Obviously, Dominic's asking for the GoFundMe to hit, but
Yes.
yeah,
It's a lot of money, I know. I'm also owed a lot of money that I'm probably not going to see. So, that be how it is.
Let's hope labor laws side with you.
Oh, we're trying.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful many night blessing. Goodbye.
goodbye.
Bye.